Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and welcome to Week 7 of...
The Summer of the Planet of the Apes!
After the harsh reactions to the 2001 film, the Planet of the Apes series got slipped to the back burner. However, it wasn't very long at all before the siren call of money brought forth more plans to reboot the series yet again, and what would become Rise of the Planet of the Apes started coming together a mere 5 years after the 2001 movie. Set in present day, Rise of the Planet of the Apes sort of resembles a remake of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, as it follows the life of an abnormally intelligent chimpanzee named Caesar and a relatively violent ape revolution, though there are certainly more differences than similarities. But different can be good, if done right. There's only one way to know for sure. Let's take a look and see if Rise respected the Planet of the Apes legacy. As the film opens up, we are immediately thrust into the classic hunt scene, though obviously this time the roles are reversed. One thing that's pretty easy to notice right away is that every ape in this movie is CGI. I guess it was cheaper than using real apes. I'm pretty sure Hollywood's going to figure out soon that CGI is cheaper than 90% of actors and locations as well, and then every movie is going to look like Speed Racer. Evidently, this group is only interested in a few apes, as despite the others probably being worth quite a lot, they are quite clearly left behind, easily visible. Fast forward sometime later, and we see the chimpanzee excelling at a puzzle, and James Franco's character, Will Rodman, runs off to tell his higher-ups about this amazing development.
112. It works.
On just the one primate.
One is all we need.
No. One is nowhere near a proper size for a study group. Just what were you expecting to get out of this?
All I need is your approval for human trials.
The shit? Okay, you obviously need many, many more tests on chimps before you go forth with something that dangerous. Stephen Jacobs, played by David Oyelowo, is less than convinced, but for some reason allows Will to go ahead and pitch the drug to the board. Okay, we're less than 5 minutes in and already this movie has shit all over the scientific method. Great. And the drug in question, ALZ-112, supposedly helps the brain heal itself, and Will hopes this ability will cure Alzheimer's disease, as well as many other neurodegenerative disorders. Of course, that doesn't explain why it would make a primate supernormally intelligent. I mean, if she regrowed part of her brain that had been damaged, that would be one thing, but this is completely different.
For some reason, the chimp's irises exhibit flecks of green. Actually, we first noticed it in chimp 9. Hence her nickname, Bright Eyes.
Well, that, and it was an easy homage to the first Planet of the Apes movie.
Well, Bright Eyes, is our throat feeling better?
For some reason, they also think it's a good idea to show the chimp off directly to the board of directors, but as always happens in plots this contrived, something goes wrong. Alright, 7 minutes in and we're already at the ape revolution. You know, that did not go quite as well as you would think. And because of this one minor fuck-up, now abso-fucking-lutely every chimp they had has been put down, and Will is told in no uncertain terms he's just wasted the last 5 years of his life.
Go back to the drawing board on the 112. Start again in molecular development.
Well, just as intelligence being shown in one chimp is nothing to get excited over, violence being showcased in only one example is also nothing to go this crazy about. I mean, why is the science in this movie running off of the same basic parameters as superstition? Of course, to top things off, they find out that obviously it wasn't the drug that caused her to attack, as Bright Eyes had given birth. Oh, those silly scientists and how they never pay attention to or document anything. What? Franklin refuses to deal with the baby after having put down all the other apes, and Will ends up suffering it unto himself, bringing it home to his father, Charles, played by John Lithgow.
Dad?
Will! I didn't hear you come in. Today's the day, right? You thought I'd forget. You have a big test today, right? Chemistry?
Yeah, just like any good Samaritan, it turns out that Will's interest in curing Alzheimer's disease stems from the fact that his father suffers from that very same ailment. Which makes Will a selfish prick, but never mind that. Lithgow bonds with the baby immediately, and inadvertently names him as well.
As for Caesar, kneel down. Kneel down.
Franco summarizes the sudden passing of 3 years, and we see, aside from Caesar's obvious mental strength, Lithgow's own facilities are waning.
I can't do this anymore. He belongs in a home. This is no way for him to live.
Okay, it's sad, but I guess it's true. If you can't get help from at-home caretakers, then you're going to have to bite the bullet and have your father spend the rest of his days in, or you could steal those experimental drugs from your lab and turn your father into a guinea pig. Well, still, it takes a while for cells to grow back, and we still don't even know if the drug can do that, so we'll be lucky to see any kind of improvement. Sorry, I forgot. Hollywood science. But we need some kind of crisis, so Caesar sneaks out to steal the neighbor's bicycle, and we get to meet said neighbor, Mr. Hunkister, played by David Hewlett. His character's traits are summed up as such. He's an asshole.
It won't happen again.
Damn right it won't.
Oh, he's going to continue being an asshole. And this gives us the excuse we need to introduce a zoo veterinarian, Caroline Ariana, played by Freda Pinto. A good enough actress, though I can't help but feel that she really adds nothing to this movie, aside from this scene, which could easily be omitted. Her character never really does anything. Nevertheless, she takes a liking to Will, and together they head off to the mystical Redwood Forest, just past the Golden Gate Bridge, which only exists in this movie, and evidently it takes Caesar half a decade to climb one of the trees. And now that he's a smooth 8 years old and far larger than any chimpanzee has ever been, it's time for the classic teenage angst.
You getting in? Caesar?
I'm your father.
That gives me a pretty bad mental image, Franco. Not satisfied with that answer, Caesar does eventually get the story of the first 10 minutes of the film from Will.
Your mother's dead. The thing is, she was given medicine. Like the medicine I give to Charles. She passed it on to you. That's why you're so smart.
So smart it took you 8 years to figure out that James Franco isn't a chimpanzee. No, really, I'm impressed. As if that's not enough to rock the household boat, Lithgow's immune system is fighting off the treatment, and of course that means a hilarious scene of a man suffering from dementia committing Grand Theft Auto. Hunkister is sure to show up and establish he's still the biggest asshole in the whole movie.
Get out of my guard! You stay right there! You are going nowhere, mister! You understand the payment! I sure as hell not going to! This is your problem! You made the—
Naturally, Caesar cannot abide the unreasonably hostile sub-character, and we get a pretty entertaining beatdown, but unfortunately for Caesar, assholes are always protected while chimpanzee heroes get dragged off to the primate sanctuary. Now, of course, primate sanctuary sounds very nice, but this is what it means.
You're gonna stay here now. No. We're not going home right now.
Of course, considering he's had Caesar for 8 years and presumably asshole neighbor just as long, how he didn't end up in this situation earlier, I don't know. After Will leaves, Caesar is beckoned by Tom Felton.
Come on! Over here!
You probably recognize him as Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter series. Here, he plays Dodge Landon, or as I like to call him, Mr. Homage. Why? No reason. It turns out that the pretty coat of paint on the outside hides what is no better than a simian prison block on the inside. To top things off, the drug therapy Lithgow has been receiving is now entirely ineffective, as his immune system completely blocks it. Well, then it's obvious what you have to do. Get him on an immunosuppressive therapy so that the ALZ-112 can work just as well as it has been working all this time.
I need a more aggressive virus strain. A faster delivery method.
You seriously don't know shit about therapeutic drugs, do you? But that doesn't stop the lab from getting behind him 100% as they test the effects of the new drug on Koba the bonobo. Now that the drug is in an airborne virus instead of an injection, the obvious fuck-up happens.
Franklin, get your mask on!
Well, it's good to know that he's already getting those human trials he wanted. And Koba immediately shows signs of incredible intelligence.
Intelligence results are remarkable. No adverse effects.
Apes have amazingly strong immune systems.
Considering the last drug failed due to the human immune system fighting it off too much, wouldn't that mean that it never would have worked on apes in the first place? Franklin, on the other hand, is sneezing blood.
Excuse me a sec.
Yeah, no reason to see a doctor or get any kind of examination whatsoever. Just do whatever you can to spread the virus to the general public. Back in the ape sanctuary, Caesar does find solace in fellow inmate Maurice, the orangutan, whom also happens to know sign language. Unfortunately, though, I don't know sign language, and they play it straight in this movie with no subtitles. I commend that, but I have no idea what the fuck they're saying. Will stops by to see him, but his excitement is cut short when he finds out this is all just a chimp tease.
No, we're not going home right now.
Yeah, I just decided to stop by and remind you how fucked your life is. Well, see ya! After this, the wheels in Caesar's mind start turning, and when Mr. Hammond shows off he's only slightly less of a jerk than asshole neighbor, an opportunity arises. Oh shit, no one can beat Caesar in a staring contest! CGI doesn't have to blink! But this scored him a pocket knife, and using his spare toolkit we never see, he somehow manages to blindly pick the lock, and after befriending Buck the gorilla, secure his place as alpha chimp at the ape sanctuary. Okay, if he can pick locks, I don't see why he doesn't just, leave. Will somehow smuggles the newer drug out of the lab too, despite it being ridiculously huge, but Lithgow tells him to spare him the treatment, as by morning he's gonna be dead anyway. Franklin's not doing much better, but instead of calling Will's cell phone or doing anything remotely logical to actually contact him quickly, he stalks around his home while he's at work, which leads to...
What the hell are you?
As if we needed any more of a hint that the virus is bad for humans, whatever's going to happen is going to happen to asshole neighbor. Will finally grows some balls and decides to just bribe the guys at the ape sanctuary to give him Caesar back. But aside from not leaving earlier when he had the chance, Caesar rejects Will's invitation to go back home. I'm sure he has his reasons, but I don't know what they are because I don't know sign language. Caesar still manages to escape on his own, so I guess maybe he was just trying to save Will some money. And he even goes home to steal the convenient smuggled samples of the drug, which he had absolutely no way of knowing were there, and bring them back with him to Ape Sanctuary, imbuing every ape in it with heightened intelligence. No, sorry, not every ape. Mr. Homage wasn't there at the time. And speaking of dumb apes, Franklin evidently didn't bother going to see any doctor, as his landlady is the one that finds him at home, dead as shit. So I take it the increased intelligence component of the virus doesn't work on humans. But now that all the pieces are in place, Caesar makes his move at the ape sanctuary by not bothering to move, thus giving us a very short fight before Mr. Homage says,
Take your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape!
Of all the things this character lifts off the previous films, this has to be the stupidest.
No!
On second thought, this scene is fucking awesome. Thus Caesar gets the upper hand and releases the apes, but still has to deal with those pesky humans.
I'm gonna skimmy snap Every one of you!
Yeah. Cattle prods are high voltage and low current, so they're not fatal. Adding water to the equation doesn't change that. But he soon realizes there are plenty more apes in the city that need to be freed, and the ridiculously action-packed third act is underway. There's really not much to say about this part of the film dramatically. It's pretty much a sequence of cool shots and pretty good action, but because this one group we're following doesn't talk, or doesn't talk much, there's not much outside of their actions to go on. As such, they free the apes from Genesis before moving on to the local zoo, bringing us to direct confrontation between ape and man. But the movie is still rated G, so don't expect to see blood and guts on this battlefield. But to be honest, they do keep it exciting. Sensing trouble on the bridge, Caesar orders the apes to split up and cross it from all angles before a cavalry attacks.
Stop, or we'll lose the G rating!
Fortunately, a bus conveniently provides cover for the apes as they advance, and using his superior military strategy, Caesar strikes at the police barricade in a three-pronged attack, completely annihilating it in short order before Jacobs himself shows up in a helicopter, providing a final boss encounter. I mean, usually it's a good idea to spend some time grinding, leveling up, getting some good gear together before you try and take on the final boss. I mean, Caesar, what are you thinking? What do you have that could possibly go up against a helicopter? A big fucking gorilla. Yeah, that'll do it. The helicopter is destroyed in an orgy of 3D eye candy, but while humans are off limits for ultraviolence in a G-rated film, sadly, it's still okay to perforate and explicitly kill a gorilla. Koba is the simian voice of equality, however, as he sends Jacobs to a less graphic but certainly painful death. Falling to one's death. Remember, if you don't actually see the body smash and splatter, it's perfectly child-friendly. Thus, the apes make it to the redwoods, and Will follows the path of destruction to find Caesar, who is nice enough to pull Koba off him long enough for the goodbye speech. Kind of funny that the bonobo is depicted as being so violent. I mean, compared to apes, bonobos are very peaceful creatures. They usually settle their disputes with sex. Why do I keep thinking of ape sex?
This has to stop. This isn't the way.
Oh, you're telling me!
If you come home, I'll protect you.
Yeah, you'll protect Caesar from the police, the army, and not to mention all the other scientists that are going to want to cut up his brain and take a look. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, Will, but Caesar's not stupid. And Caesar provides his own rebuttal.
Caesar is home.
Holy shit! I knew the drug made you smart, but I didn't know it helped you grow working vocal cords! To think I wasted all that time teaching you sign language! Thus, they take to the trees, and we are given the epic closing frame. Right before the movie decides to inform us that asshole neighbor is a pilot, and such an asshole, he brings the plague with him to the airport, spreading it through the world, obviously killing off an insane number of people. Great, before the evil that destroyed mankind was war, or slavery. Oh no, not this time, no, now it's medical research! Did the writers just have a hard-on for hating science? Well, that was Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and they did a pretty good job with it. It's certainly a different creature altogether from the rest of the Apes films, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. For starters, the apes depicted do look mostly like apes. They're CGI from start to finish, but in a way that does help keep the look of them consistent throughout the film. There are more glaring issues to note, as this movie does feel somewhat unbalanced between acts, and several characters are very shallow or downright pointless to the plot. But it's also nice to see that they didn't pull any punches when showing Caesar and Maurice communicating through sign language, even if I personally couldn't understand what they were saying. This This movie was made for 3D, and it's pretty obvious by how certain scenes are showcased, though fortunately they didn't rely too much on the throw shit in your face gimmick, instead giving us sweeping vistas which can be appreciated in 2D just as well. Overall, Rise of the Planet of the Apes is very entertaining, and while some aspects of the science are pretty badly done and many characters are less than interesting, the movie delivers on entertainment and giving us a new look at the Planet of the Apes that feels like it really could be the Planet of the Apes, netting it 4 armed apes out of 5. And that's it! The last Planet of the Apes movie, at least until Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in 2014, and if I may say so myself, it feels nice to end it on such a positive note. Thank you all for watching, I've been Shado, and remember, fuck.